Boom. It's almost 5 minutes late. And, you know, the truth is that happens sometimes, especially when you're dealing with Simoson building. It happens. It's 6:35 in the evening, and what I would love for you to do at this very moment is if you could just say in the comments there that I am loud and clear. Now, somebody did say to me that a football game is going on. Please tell me in the comments who that is. Unfortunately, I do not watch soccer. The only soccer I watch is when Zambia's playing. When the Zambia national, thank you, Bo, when the Zambia national soccer team is playing, that is the only time I watch football. But I do not watch the Bundesliga. I do not watch the Premier League, or whatever the heck that means, okay? When I was in, a few years ago, you guys remember when my brother was unwell and he was in South Africa, I spent 6 weeks in South Africa with him. And I remember him and I had gone to one of these malls and we walked into a sports shop and I saw an Arsenal t-shirt. And they were pretty. I mean, you know, they had Rwanda emblazoned across them, and I saw a yellow one and a red one, and I loved them both. And I said, you know, this looks pretty. So I bought these Arsenal t-shirts. Every single time I'm walking down the street when I'm wearing these things, you know, these rabid Arsenal fans, you know, they start walking over to me and giving me hugs and patting me on the back, you know, like we're brothers or something. Look, I understand that there is a bond that takes place when you meet your fellow supporter. That's fine. It's just that, you know, sometimes it gets a bit weird because people really take this stuff to heart. I'm not knocking it. If you support a football team, you're fine to do that. Just don't be rabid about it, okay? Don't be weird about it, okay? It's just football, okay? It's not the eclipse. Okay, it's not the apocalypse now. No, it's just a football game. All right, so let's not get it twisted. All right, I got a few minutes before the news. A couple of things I want to talk to you about. Please do me a favor. Share this live if you could. Yeah, share the live with people that you think would be interested in this conversation, and I would be grateful. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to spend a few minutes with me here on SML TV. Those, my brothers and sisters, are bars. Let's begin. The very first thing I want to delve into, oh, by the way, before I say that, did you see that Janet Jackson, almost 60 years old, she was on the arm of Maxwell. They were taking a stroll through London town. And here's the thing look, I'm not knocking people. I think it's possible to start over at any age. It doesn't matter how old you are. As long as you're single, you're looking for, everybody is looking for love. You got to love somebody. The great Bob Dylan said, actually he said, you got to serve somebody, but you can easily say that. Replace it with you got to love somebody. There's somebody for everybody. I believe that. But, you know, I think that when you've been through as many relationships, and I'm God lover, I love Janet Jackson. I'm a huge Janet Jackson fan. But I think, you know, when you get to 60 years old and almost 60, especially in that culture, you know, you're sort of rolling the dice at that age, you know, you're just sort of doing this. And I think that's not a very happy place to be. If at 60 you want to sort of start over. At that time, you really should be winding down. And one of the great privileges I think of marriage is, and there are many different privileges. There are many perks to being married. But I think one of the greatest privileges is becoming old with someone. I think that's a beautiful thing. I don't know what you guys think. That's just me. You know, I think it's wonderful if you have a wife of your youth You go through all the great times, all the difficult times, all the ups and downs. And then it gets to a part in your life where you grow old with someone. And then you're basically just taking care of each other. You know, you just become best friends that just look out for each other. And I think that's what you need. At 60, you don't need to be sitting across the table from someone thinking, is this the right fit for me? You know, or at 60, you don't want to be walking down the aisle looking back and thinking, dear Lord, have I made a mistake, or is this the love of my life? Who needs that aggravation? It's a horrible place to be, I think. So good luck to Janet Jackson and Maxwell. Wish them all the best. What have you done for me lately? My name ain't baby, it's Janet, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Okay. Guys, let's talk about Harry Kalaba. Many of you know that, and you know, this is the thing that I find strange about Harry. Harry has this thing where he sort of vicariously lives and acts as if he's the president. Look, there's nothing wrong with ambition. There's nothing wrong with setting goals. And I think that if you are a presidential candidate, that really should be your end game. Your end game should be about attaining that title of becoming president. Everything that you do must be focused, laser focused on that goal. I get it. But what I don't get is where you pretend to be the president. Now, get me, understand me. There's a difference between aspiring to be president, planning to be president, running to be president, but there's a whole different thing when you pretend that you are actually the current president. That is Harry Kalaba's conundrum. Kalaba will roll out a red carpet right now as if he's president. Kalaba will do a press briefing and sort of act and pretend as if he is the current head of state. And in my view, that's a bit delusional. It is. It's a bit delusional, and it's off kilter. And I find it strange and curious that at this vantage point in his political career, he's pretending to be president when he should be aspiring to be the president. Tell me in the comments if what I'm saying to you makes sense. Tell me if what I'm saying to you is gelling. Indicate to me in the comments below if what I'm saying is resonating in your spirit. Is it bubbling in your oblongata? Is it sizzling in your spirit? Is it sort of marinating in your mind? Because honestly, really, I don't want to sit here and act like I'm the only one that has noticed this. If you have noticed this trait, say it in the comments. Say it. Just break it down, you know. And a couple of days ago, might have been yesterday, the day before, he got on a plane. Okay. Now, there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about. This is a presidential candidate that has really no substantial money in terms of, you know, what a presidential candidate should have. But here he is jet setting, taking planes to places like Solwezi. Why would a presidential candidate take a plane to Solwezi? Why would you do that? Do you have any idea what the cost implications of that is? The only thing Harry Kalaba is doing right now, let me tell you, is that he's digging himself into a grave of debt with the idea, with the thought that in 2026, when I become the president, all the debt I've accumulated will be wiped out. Well, first of all, let's be clear. Harry Kalaba is not going to be the president in 2026. He could be president one day because he's a Zambian. You know, I mean, there's no telling. But I can guarantee you in 2026, he's not going to be the president. So if he's gambling with jet setting this early in the game, any presidential candidate will tell you The worst possible thing that you could ever do at this stage of the game is accumulate debt. You're jumping on planes to go to Solwezi to drum up support for your candidate in a party that you have just created, a party that is barely 2 years old. This is what you're doing? That is being irresponsible. There is no fiscal discipline there. There is no realistic approach there. Everything he's doing is flights of fancy. It is a product of a deranged mind. Harry Kalaba is pretending to be the president when he should be aspiring to be the president. Jumping on a plane, going to Solwezi, digging yourself into debt. And it's not right. So he gets to Solwezi, you know, and while he's there, something unfortunate happens. An accident occurs. Now, let me take a moment here to caution Zambia reports, because Zambia reports, as far as I remember, Zambia reports were the very first ones that came out with this sensational headline, Harry Kalaba, an assassination attempt has been made on Harry Kalaba's life. When you know good and hell well, no such thing happened. There are several things we need to talk about here. Number one, no one, not a single person I can think of would ever want to eliminate or assassinate Harry Kalaba. For what? Why? What would the motive be? Because here's a guy who has no parliamentary representation. He's got no footing as far as ward chairmanship is concerned. He's got no standing as far as councillors and all of that is concerned. He is a lone ranger on the political landscape. I mean, literally, he's a lone ranger. So how in the HE double hockey sticks, how in the entire hell are you going to sit there and say, oh no, somebody attempted to assassinate Harry Kalaba? For what? What would the purpose be? He doesn't even have any numbers. In the last election, he garnered, you know the word garnered? Gathered? He gathered a paltry, a measly, an insignificant 556 votes against the first person who came out number one, 11,000 votes. And Harry Kalaba will boastfully stand on a platform and say, no, we came third. We came third. We were number three. Number one was 11,000 votes. Number two was, I think, 6,000 something votes. Number three was Harry Kalaba at 556 votes. Less than 600 people voted. And then this is the man that's somebody's gonna say, oh no, somebody attempted to assassinate Harry Kalaba. Why would you assassinate someone that has got less than 600 votes? What would the purpose be? I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, those are flights of fancy. He's daydreaming. He is daydreaming, and we are not even we're not even in that political space. We're not there. You tell me who's sitting around a round table, scheming, plotting, arranging to assassinate Harry Kalaba? And even if they tried to do that, why would they attempt to assassinate him using a rogue driver? Just a guy who's just driving. So, hey, what's the plan? Okay, we're going to eliminate Harry Kalaba. Okay, how are we going to do that? So what you do, you get into your Mercedes-Benz. When you see him coming, you just ram into him. But what happens what happens after that? I mean, if I run into his car, then what? Well, you're on your own. I mean, if you run into his car, chances are the crowd is going to pull you out of the car and they're going to beat you within an inch of your life, and then nobody's going to be there to rescue you. So that's the plan? Yeah, that's the plan. So is this how we're going to do it? That's how we're going to do it. So what you do, get in the car, just drive in there. When you see him coming down the street, you see his motorcade or entourage, you just drive straight into there. These are the Dwanzi thoughts that go through your mind. And Zambia Reports has the audacity. They have the unmitigated gall. They have the Dwanzi goal of reporting an assassination attempt. Don't be stupid. If you're going to alarm the nation by coming up with such flimsy, foolish, foolhardy, sensationalized headlines, at least be responsible. Report factually. I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, there's not a single solitary person on this planet that is even thinking of eliminating Harry Kalaba. Not a single person. To what end? For what goal? For what purpose? What would the motive be? Zero, nada, zilch, nothing. Be real. And the Harry Kalaba and his team, they very quickly try to milk it politically. No, in fact, what we are hearing is the driver is the PS of somewhere, kuja kusolwezi kuja, is a UPND sympathizer. Why? For political gain, political expedience, political convenience. If those are the types of politics you're going to play in this 2025, let me tell you, you are woefully mistaken. You are misguided. You don't know what you're doing. You have taken permanent leave of your senses, and you are completely irrelevant to the political landscape of this country. If that's how you're going to be thinking, be realistic. Be real. Don't tiptoe through the tulips and act as if you are some type of significant political figure. You're not. Don't act like that. Okay? So that's number one. Number two, Fred Membe. Fred Membe got on one of his Facebook pages, and he starts talking about the Mufumbwe gold mine issue. He says, oh no, these are just young men that are trying to make a living, and government is trying to stifle their ability to make a living. But let me tell you, in Zambia, we've got a problem. Bantu, if Lusaka City Council, if our councils, I can only speak for Lusaka City Council, I can't speak for Livingston, and when I say speak for them, I mean speak for them from a residential point of view. Not that I'm representing them, no. My point is, I can only talk about Lusaka City Council because I'm a resident of Lusaka. That's what I mean. Bantu on social media. Because if I say, no, me, I can only speak for Lusaka Central, someone here is going to say, so you mwewa, you think you are council. Eh? No, that's not what I said. Listen to what I'm saying. When I say that, I mean because I'm a Lusaka resident. If Lusaka City Council is having difficulties convincing our people, Kuti, you can't trade on the street. You have to trade in designated markets. You have to trade in designated spots. Designated means lawful. Because in this country, there is a law that prohibits street vending. It's there in black and white. It is in our statutes. You can't ignore it. It's a stark reminder of what laws are. So if Lusaka City Council is unable to convince our people, Kuti, you can't trade on the street, even though there's a law that prohibits it, you think you can tell these boys in Mufumbwe and convince them that thing you're doing there in Mufumbwe is illegal. There are laws in this country that prohibit illegal mining. The law is there. But you've got these fly-by-night, Dwanzi, sheepish politicians who use tragedy for their own political expedience, even when they know good and hell well there is a law that prohibits illegal mining. With illegal mining comes many vices. Young people are placed they're at risk of losing their lives because of illegal mining. These politicians will never tell you that. Illegal mining breeds an atmosphere of lawlessness, gangsterism, turf wars. You know that phrase, turf wars? Territories. Gangs will dominate an area with guns and all types of ammunition. And they will say, this is our territory. This is our mining ground. You can't come here. That is what's going to happen in this country if the government doesn't get a hold of this thing called illegal mining. Kaunda was very clear about this. Kaunda didn't mess around when it came to mining. You could not fool around. In the days of UNIP and this government, there was nothing like that. It is now in this dispensation where you people, you've got this idea, what is in the ground is mine because I'm a Zambian. I'm entitled to what is in the ground. You haven't even read the law. There is a law that tells you illegal mining is prohibited. There is a law that guides you and says, if you want to have access to our mineral wealth, there is a procedure that you have to follow. You can't just wake up and say, no, me, I'm a black Zambian, therefore everything in the ground belongs to me as a Zambian, the black man. That's nonsense. Your head is in the clouds. Okay? And these politicians are being irresponsible, namely Freddie Membe, Harry Kalaba. These chaps are the most irresponsible chaps I've ever had. They are just irresponsible. Talking about, no, these are young Zambians. They just want to make a living, and this government is stifling them. This UPND government is standing in their way. They want to make a living for themselves. And are you listening to yourself? You sound dull. Nonsense. Don't talk rubbish. Be real. There are laws, and those laws have to be followed. Now, a word of caution to the government. Even the law enforcement agencies, they also have to be above board. Because if they are not above board, this is why we are hearing stories, Huti, some law enforcement are confiscating equipment and money for their own personal gain. That should be quashed. That should be stamped out. Because if you don't stamp that out, it will be very difficult for you to justify what you are doing if you are going in there with the idea of gaining what those boys have mined for your own personal goal. That is an anomaly that has to be dealt with, in all fairness. So let us be real, brothers and sisters. No illegal mining. No illegal mining. It has to be above board, and it has to benefit the Zambian people. Not Joe Schmo from down the road, or Chibamba Ntwani. Bantu, he is a Zambian and he's got a shovel. Kuti, I was born on this territory. Kuribe. There are laws. That's what you laws. All right, guys, I gotta go. It's 19 hours. Thanks for watching. I gotta go. God bless. Bye.